So we have another story where the right proves yet again that it is them and not the left who are the snowflakes, who are part of outrage culture and cancel culture, because they reacted to a photograph of a pop star in a way that is just genuinely baffling to me, because any serious person will see this and just not care. But to conservatives, actually high-profile conservatives like Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens, apparently this is a really big deal. So the photograph in question is this picture of British pop star Harry Styles wearing a dress, and Vogue magazine tweeted out this quote from him where he says, "There's so much joy to be had in playing with clothes. I've never thought too much about what it means. It just becomes this extended part of creating something." Okay, so you see that, and then apparently you are supposed to react to it in some way if you're a conservative. For me, my default position is that I just don't care. It's difficult for me to muster up any feelings of positivity or negativity to this. I see this and I think, okay, I don't care. I couldn't care less. It's difficult for me to try to find emotions with regard to this photo, but if you forced me to think of something to express the way that I feel, I'd probably say, okay, great. I don't care what pop stars do, generally speaking, but I guess this could have a positive impact if he's trying to break down these traditional binary gender roles. Sure, that's great. But again, it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't really matter. There are more pressing matters that I'm concerned with currently, and what a pop star chooses to wear, like the type of cloth that he puts on his body, that's not relevant to the things that I care about at all. Like, it doesn't matter. However, Candace Owens tweeted this out. "There is no society that can survive without strong men. The East knows this. In the West, the steady feminization of our men at the same time that Marxism is being taught to our children is not a coincidence. This is an outright attack." Now, I laugh because she is genuinely outraged by this. Why? Why do you care? He's wearing a dress. She's literally saying that this is facilitating the end of our species because society can't survive without strong men. And if he wears a dress, then other men might want to wear a dress. And because men wear dresses now, that's bad. Come on. I mean, how can you not see this tweet from her, this outrage, and think you are being a snowflake? This is very snowflakey. The response, the outrage that you're feeling, no serious person cares this deeply about this issue. No serious person should care at all this deeply about the clothing that somebody else wears. Who cares? If you don't want men to wear dresses, then don't associate with men who wear dresses. Have your husband not wear dresses. I mean, what do you want? Who gives a shit? I don't care about this. Why do you care about this, Candace Owens? Aren't you supposed to be a serious political commentator and you're freaking out about a dude taking a picture in a fucking dress? No, you're not wearing the correct piece of cloth that human beings with dicks are supposed to wear. So I'm going to explain how this might lead to the end of our society. I mean, Jesus Christ. Get a fucking grip, lady. You sound like a stupid person. You sound like a deranged, unhinged, stupid person. But she's not alone, because Ben Shapiro, who I, definitely associate with masculinity, decided to also comment on this by creating an entire fucking thread. So he says, "This is perfectly obvious. Anyone who pretends that it is not a referendum on masculinity for men to don floofy dresses is treating you as a full-on idiot. Masculinity and femininity exist. Outward indicators of masculinity and femininity exist in nearly every human culture. Boys are taught to be more masculine in virtually every human culture because the role of men is not always the same as the role of women. The left knows this, of course. The point of Styles doing this photo shoot is to feminize masculinity. Otherwise, why would it be headline-worthy for Styles to don a dress? The left knows this. They openly say that gender is both important and socially constructed, which is why they tell you that a man can be a woman, e.g., despite no biological underpinning." Okay, so first of all, the fact that he wrote an entire thread about one photograph, it shows you that he has a little bit too much time on his hands. He's thought a little bit too much about something that is insignificant. Now, he correctly points out that the left believes that gender is a social construct, but that's because it is. There's a difference between sex and gender. Sex refers to biology. Gender refers to how we express ourselves, how society views us. So the reason why there are differences between what is considered masculine and feminine is because we ascribe masculine traits to men and feminine traits to women. So if we say that like wearing a dress is associated with femininity, then it's that way because society dictates that it's that way. There's no like natural laws or anything that dictates in a concrete, objective way that dresses should be associated with women. Society can change and make it so that way, dresses are associated with masculinity and only real men wear dresses. I mean, we attach stupid things to genders. I mean, think about this. Like, we attach blue to boys, and you see these gender reveal parties with blue, and pink to girls. Why is it that, like, a color is associated with somebody's gender? It doesn't really make sense, because these are things that we say they are. So he has that right, but he rejects that, and he doesn't like that this photo shoot is intended to feminize masculinity, except gender isn't as black and white as he wants to believe. And, I mean, he says, well, the whole point of this shoot, getting headlines is because, everyone is trying to feminize masculinity. Except everything that celebrities do is a headline. Like, they're dating someone new, and it's a headline. They eat at a restaurant, and it's a headline. Oh, they're just like us. They eat at McDonald's and take a shit. Yeah. So, the fact that he is really making this big of a deal about this, it's just, honestly, these people are not serious. It shows you that conservatives are not serious people. But, to him, speaking about masculinity, one thing that is definitely associated with masculinity is, loving women in a sexual way. So I have to ask, Ben, if you subscribe to these traditional gender norms and traditions, then this shoe?
Came, now get your boots and your coat for this wet-ass P-word. Pay my tuition just to kiss me on this wet-ass P... Right, so... This is, guys, this is what feminists fought for.
I don't know about you, but I was taught that masculine men are supposed to like wet-ass P-words and not be turned off by wet-ass P-words. Also, this your friend? Interesting, it looks like you have your friend Steven Crowder, another right-wing YouTuber and political commentator, wearing what seems to be feminine attire. Interesting. Look, I think that Hassan Piker, his response to Ben Shapiro was the best I've seen, hands down. He says, Ben, you're 5'3", can't grow facial hair, and weigh 100 pounds soaking wet. If we can both be considered men, you should probably be a bit more open-minded about gender expressions. It's clearly not as rigid or binary as you try to imply it is. And he's right. I mean, when you see Ben Shapiro, this nasally little dweeb, like, arguing about what is masculinity, like, you have to pause for a moment and think, should you really be making this argument? Are you, like, the best representative of this argument? Like, I mean, look, again, at the end of the day, none of this matters. But I think that it's important that the left and political commentators such as myself point out how ridiculous they are being, because we have to discredit and delegitimize these people. And we don't really have to do much. They do that themselves. We just have to show you how stupid they are, how they're not serious. If you are listening to someone and getting your political news and advice from individuals who freak out this much about some dude wearing a dress, then you have to consider whether or not these people should be taken seriously on other issues, because anyone who cares this much about a particular piece of clothing that someone wears, they're just not to be taken seriously. I don't care. I mean, if you have some reaction to this, that's fine. But I mean, to get this outraged over this, to actually melt down over this and pontificate about how this is ruining society, you're not serious. So, I mean, we'll leave that there. There's nothing left to say about this. Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro are fucking snowflakes, and they are part of the outrage culture that they oftentimes denounce.
Hold up. Wet ass P-word.